So these are the rules or properties of logarithms. Each of these rules gives you two ways that you can expand or condense a logarithm. We're assuming that all of these logs in each expression are the same base. For example, this says log base 10 of r times s equals log base 10 of r plus log base 10 of s. And that's true for all of these problems. They all have the same base. So take a moment, press pause, and copy down each one of these properties. We will go over each individual property and give examples for each one. So pause now and copy these down. Alright, so let's focus on the product rule. It's called the product rule because you're taking these two variables or numbers and we're multiplying them. If I wanted to expand it, I would expand it using the same base and I would use addition. So here they're asking us to condense. They want to make this smaller. Since we have the same base and it's addition, that means I can rewrite it as 1 log with base 2. I would treat x as my r and 15 as my s, and I would multiply these two values together. So my answer would be log base 2 of 15x. Now if I wanted to expand means going the other way. I want to make this longer. I have the base 4 and I have two things that I'm multiplying here that I can split up. Again, I would split them up into 2 logs to expand it, and I would have to use the same base for each expression. So I get log base 4 of the first number, 4, plus, since this is the product rule, log base 4 of x. Notice that all of these expressions have the same base. I can simplify this even further because log base 4 of 4 is equal to 1. So my final answer is 1 plus log base 4 of x. Now let's take a look at the quotient rule. Okay, so now let's talk about the quotient rule. The quotient rule is the same concept. However, instead of multiplying, we're dividing. And instead of adding, we're subtracting. So take a moment, press pause, see if you can condense this expression. And see if you can expand this expression. Go ahead and press pause now. Okay, so let's take a look at this first example. Since they're asking me to condense, that means they want me to take the difference of these two logs and write them as one single log. Remember, you take the same base. Since they have the same base and we're subtracting, we can rewrite that as log base 5 of 50 divided by 2. Now, 50 divided by 2 can then be further simplified. 50 divided by 2 is 25. So this becomes log base 5 of 25. And then think about 5 to what power gives me 25? I get x equals 2. So this long expression, the difference of these two logs, can be further simplified to equal just the number 2. We condensed it. Now we can expand. Take this logarithm. Since we're dividing, I can break this up into 2 logs. Remember, keep the same base. So I'm going to break this up into 2 expressions. Log base 13 of y minus log base 13 of 169. I can then further simplify this second log. 13 to what power gives me 169? Well, that's 2. That's as far as I can simplify this expression. And we expanded it, so we made it longer. Okay, the power rule indicates that if I take log base something of a number or variable raised to a power, I can take that power and I can move it in front of the log and do log times that power. So when I see this, I know to move this in front. So let's take a look at the first example. I have log base 18 of 18 to the 4x. So what would you do if you were doing this problem? I would take this 4x and I would move it down to the front. So I would get 4x times log base 18 of 18. See if you can complete that problem. It should turn out to be something more simplified. Looking at this last simplification, using the power rule, move the 2x to the front. Now I have 2x times log base 10 of 50. Now log base 10 is in your calculator. If you go to log, it doesn't give you a place to put a base in. That's because it's assumed that you're using base 10. So I can do log of 50, which means log base 10 of 50. And I get 1.69. So I can use that and then multiply that by 2x. So I'm going to multiply by 2. So my final answer for this expression is 3.398x. The last property is the change of base property. If I don't like the base and I can't type that into my calculator, I can change the base. I can change it to whatever base I want, as long as I move this value to the numerator and move this value to the denominator. And I rewrite it with 2 separate logs, and this base has to be the same. So here's an example. I cannot type log base 80 of 54, and I have no idea 80 to the what equals 54. So I'm going to change the base. I'm going to use base 10 because that's definitely in my calculator. So I'm going to change the base to log 54 divided by log 80. So I can type this in my calculator now, and I can evaluate what log base 80 of 54 is. I'm going to type in log 54, close parentheses, divided by log 80, hit enter, and my answer to this expression, this log, is 0.910. Okay, so let's try some multi-step problems. Write the problem down and see if you can evaluate. I'll press pause.